This video will show you how to replace your rear shock and spring assembly on a Subaru Outback. This is part of your rear suspension located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've done that, we're going to continue on to removing all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts. If you have a wheel lock, you want to go ahead and have a wheel lock key. As far as that wheel lock key, go ahead and align it with your wheel lock. We're going to turn this one direction or the other until it feels as though it's seated. Once it does lock in, we can remove that locking lug nut. Let's remove all other lug nuts. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our rear shock assembly. We're starting down along the bottom of the rear shock assembly. This is where we can see our rear lower control arm. To remove this shock, we're going to have the control arm down. So with that said, there's several pieces of hardware we're going to have to loosen and eventually remove. Let's start down along the far outboard end. We're using a 17mm for our bolt head, which is on the forward side, and a 17mm for the mounting nut as well. We'll just make sure we do have movement from that mounting bolt. A quick inspection of our hardware, and we'll continue down the line. 17mm for this hardware as well. We've got our movement. We're heading towards the rear sway bar link next. We're using a 14mm for this hardware. For this mounting bolt, let's go ahead and remove it. Now we're making our way all the way to the inboard side. We're back to our 17mm hardware for this. Now that we know we have movement from all the hardware here, let's pause on removing the mounting bolts, and we'll make our way up inside the passenger compartment. Now we've lifted our rear lift gate. We're paying attention along the rear portion of the vehicle here. We're going to have to make our way down along where the shock tower is. If you have any type of mat, go ahead and remove it. Now once you have that out of the way, on either side of the vehicle where you're replacing the shock from, you're going to want to also dislodge your side panel. Now that exposes our 2 pieces of upper mounting hardware. Now we're only removing our 2 14mm mounting nuts. We are not touching the center mounting nut. This is very important. We can pause inside the passenger compartment and we're back out along the wheel well. Now we're down in this area. We can see our shock bolt. We're not removing that yet. We're going to make our way to the inboard bolt first. Go ahead and remove this, but you do want to hold on to this. It's going to want to come down. Now as we start pulling this down, you're going to find that the lower shock mounting bolt is going to loosen, but the rear shock is also going to lower at the same time. Let's just be extremely careful. As I remove that bolt, this control arm will swing down, so we're going to prevent that from happening as well. and we can remove that rear shock. There it is, friend. Now, prior to installation of any brand new parts, clean and inspect all mounting surfaces. We have our subframe. We're just making sure nothing's rotted or weak. Moving along, we have our sway bar link. As far as the sway bar link's concerned, let's just make sure that the rubber bushing doesn't have any dry rot. Now let's focus on the control arm itself. We have the inboard bushing. Quick wipe, it's not cracked or anything. Double check all other ports. Now let's pause down in this area and we're going to have a quick look at our shock tower. We're just going to give this a quick wipe with our clean rag. Nothing's rotted, looks good. Now we can install our brand new rear shock. We'll align the upper mounting points. Now obviously we're not starting in the hardware yet. We're staying under here. We're going to continue on with that lower control arm. Start pivoting it into the proper position, aligning your rear shock with the lower control arm, and start that mounting bolt through. The bolt comes through from the front towards the rear. I've got my bolt. Let's make sure that the sway bar link makes its way in towards that inner portion of the control arm as well. Now we're focusing on the inboard area. We'll get this in position and start that mounting bolt through from the front towards the rear. Just tap that through. Now it's time for the sway bar link mounting bolt. You may have to adjust the sway bar link up or down. That can be done with the sway bar itself. Before we go any further with any of our lower hardware, we want to make sure we have the vehicle's rear suspension in ride height position. So since we have this in the air with the suspension hanging, we're going to apply upward pressure, bringing this lower control arm up to the height it would be in if the vehicle was sitting on the ground. For this, I'm just using a pole jack. I'm coming underneath my knuckle here. Slow and steady wins the race. Now, once you feel as though you have it in the proper height position, we'll continue on with each of our mounting nuts. We're just starting them on. While we still have upward pressure on our control arm, it's time to tighten and torque all of our mounting hardware. We're starting on the outboard side. Once we have this snug, we're going to torque it to 59 foot-pounds. Now let's move inboard. As far as the lower shock mounting bolt, we're going to snug this, and the torque for this is 89 foot-pounds. Now it's time for the sway bar link mounting bolt and nut. Snug that, the torque for this is only 24 foot-pounds. Moving along to the inboard hardware, 17 millimeter, we'll snug it and torque that to 59 foot-pounds. Once you're sure you've torqued everything underneath the vehicle as you need to, go ahead and remove support from under your rear suspension. Now the next thing we can do is reinstall our rear wheel. One last quick inspection in this area and we can reinstall our wheel. Let's get our wheel in place. We're going to start on our lug nuts. Let's get the wheel in place. We're going to start on all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts, and of course if you do have that locking lug nut, that as well. Once we have that in position, go ahead and snug them up. We'll get the wheel on the ground. The torque for these will be 90 foot-pounds. Now we've got the wheel back on the ground. We're going to be torquing these in a crisscross manner to that 90 foot-pounds. Torqued. Now that we have the wheel torqued, let's make our way back up inside the rear of the passenger compartment. Now obviously we have the full weight of the vehicle back on the ground and we're inside the passenger compartment. Let's install the rear shock mounting hardware. For these new mounting nuts, we're using a 16mm. Once it's started on, go ahead and bottom it out, and we're going to torque this to 22 foot-pounds. Now let's install our side panel. Along the bottom, you will have 2 locating tabs, and those will fit into their corresponding areas. Once you feel as though you have it lined up, go ahead and tap it into position. Install your trunk liner if you have one. Okay friend, we showed you how to install one side of your rear shock coil spring assemblies. The process for one side of the vehicle is the exact same thing as the other. Whenever you do these, you do them as a pair. After that, go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.